make an announcement before this meeting begins. There are two H&I meetings going on at the same time. In the tropic room on the 5th floor is the subcommittee meeting of the World H&I Committee, okay? So if you're a regional chairperson or an area chairperson, that might be the best place for you. This is going to be more a workshop for people who are down in the trenches. Okay, once again, my name is Peter, I'm an addict. And this is the H&I workshop. I'd like to take a moment of silence for the addict who's still suffering inside this room and outside of this room. And I'd like to take a special moment to start this meeting. Myself and Danny S. from New Haven were asked to chair this meeting a few months ago, and Danny had a heart attack last Monday, and he's doing just fine, but I'd like to take a special moment of silence for Danny, too. And follow it with a serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Lenny, would you come up and read Who's an Addict?
Hi, my name is Len, and I am an addict. Hi. My eyesight's not too good. Who's an addict? Most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know our whole lives, and thinking is centered in drugs in one form or another, the getting and the using and finding ways and means to get more. We used to live and live to use. Very simply, an addict is a man or a woman whose life is controlled by drugs. We are people in the grip of continued progression, illness whose ends are always the same: jails, institution, and death.
Lonnie, would you come up and read What is NA?
Hi, my name is Lonnie. I'm an addict. What is a Narcotics Anonymous program? NA is a nonprofit fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs has become a major problem. We're recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other to stay clean. This is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs. There is only one requirement for membership: the honest desire to stop using. There are no musts in NA, but we suggest that you keep an open mind and give yourself a break. Our program is a set of principles written so simply that we can follow them in our daily lives. The most important thing about them is that they work. There are no strings attached to NA. We are not affiliated with any other organizations. We have no leaders, no initiation fees or dues, no pledges to sign, no promises to make to anyone. We are not connected with any political, religious, or law enforcement groups and are under no surveillance at any time. Anyone may join us regardless of age, race, color, creed, religion, or lack of religion. We are not interested in what or how much you used or who your connections were, what you have done in the past, how much or how little you have, but only in what you want to do about your problem and how we can help. The newcomer is the most important person at any meeting because we can only keep what we have by giving it away. We have learned from our group experience that those who keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean. Thank you.
John, would you like to read how it works?
My name's John, I am an addict. How it works. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. These are suggested only, but they are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, excuse me. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of those steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. This sounds like a big order, and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it. There is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. Although there are no musts in NA, there are 3 things that seem indispensable. These are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try. With these, we are well on our way.
Thanks, John. Fred, how about reading the traditions?
My name is Fred. I'm an addict. Hi, everybody. The 12 traditions of NA. We keep what we have only with vigilance, and just as freedom for the individual comes from the 12 steps, so freedom for the groups springs from our traditions. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on any unity. 2, for a group purpose there is but one ultimate authority, loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or any as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6, and any group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, NA as such ought never be organized. We may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, NA has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. We're going to pass the paper around, and maybe everyone would sign it, put a message on there for Danny S., who's convalescing from his heart attack. And we'll be listening to this tape intently. Okay, Dan? Yeah. I'm asked to remind anyone from the press or radio that our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. So if there's anyone from the press in this room, please refrain from taking pictures. Okay, we're going to divide this meeting up into 2 parts. First, we're going to go over a few things that we're doing in Connecticut, and then we're going to open it up to group participation, questions, problems, whatever. I've been asked to have you come up to the microphone when you share, and that way we can get this on the tape and it can go a lot farther than this room, what happens here today. Okay, there's several handouts that we have with us, and hopefully you have one of each. One of them that's multi-page has to do with carrying on an in-service with an institution, and it has to do with how to make contact, some of the problems involved, and a lot of things that you couldn't think of on the spur of the moment. And we're going to go over that in some detail. There's a second handout, which is a speaker list. And on the speaker list we use in Connecticut, we have approved speakers for the jails on this list, and the list itself is filled out by the H&I Committee and goes to the Department of Corrections. The Department of Corrections then in turn clears everyone on the list so that anyone in the state who's running an H&I meeting in a prison or jail can go to that list and immediately get the number and name of someone that's already cleared to go in. And that alleviates a lot of problems. Juliet will go into that in a little more detail. And the last thing has to do with the H&I cans, the collecting of H&I funds, and how we try to account for H&I funds at the group level. And again, Juliet, I'm sure, will go into that in more detail. Over here to my left is a picture of how our H&I committee is structured in Connecticut. We got this structure from a meeting of the WSC H&I committee in Florida a couple of years ago. And we adopted it immediately when we returned to Connecticut, and it's been it works. It works. I'm just going to explain briefly how it works. The basic idea of this structure is a division of responsibility. At the top of the blackboard is area service. I'm being given instructions from the sidelines here. At the top is area service, naturally, and the H&I chairperson is responsible for area service. So we have the H&I chairperson just like anywhere else at the head of the committee. And then the committee is divided up into two further subdivisions. And there's a chairperson responsibility for prison meetings, and there's another chairperson responsible for detox and hospital meetings. And then below, down at the next level, is the individual meeting. And the whole idea of this is that the H&I chair does not have to keep track of all the H&I meetings in the state. If the person who's chairing an individual meeting has a problem with the meeting, they go to the chair of prisons or hospitals, depending on what kind of meeting it is. And only if it's necessary, then we'll go to the H&I chairperson. And the more H&I meetings you get in the state, I'm not sure how many we have, it gets a little unmanageable after a while. So this has been working real well for us. And with me up here today are Juliet S. from New Haven, who is the prisons chairperson in Connecticut, and Karen C., who is the hospital and detox chairperson. And the two of them are going to go over the in-service handout in some detail. And if you have questions or comments, so we'll do it after they're through. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over now to Juliet from New Haven. I'm going to turn it over to Karen from New Haven right now. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Karen. I'm an addict. Hi, Karen. It's real good for me to be here. I first got involved in H&I through the 5th East Coast Convention. I was the H&I chair for that, and I got some experience contacting institutions to let them know all about NA. It was a really good way a lot of people were not even aware that NA existed in many institutions in the state of Connecticut. And it was a good way for us to spread the message. How to approach an institution. The directories, the National Directory of Drug Abuse and Alcoholism, on Fisher's Lane in Rockville, Maryland. This is the comprehensive directory of all alcohol and drug programs throughout the country listed by state and city. What I had done for the convention was we have a KDAC directory in Connecticut. The Connecticut Alcohol and Drug Council puts out a directory which includes all the programs in the state along with the directors' names. It was necessary to write a lot of letters, and I needed the names of the directors because it's really important to go to the top, because if you don't talk to the person really responsible, you can waste a lot of time and a lot of running around. To get an in-service appointment, you pick up the phone and ask to speak to the director. And you need to be prepared to give some information about exactly what NA is. For that, I referred to the White Book in really, going into some detail on Narcotics Anonymous. Identify who you are. Title, for example, I identify myself as the chair for hospitals and detoxes when I talk to anybody in an institution. Next, we go into describing what exactly the Narcotics Anonymous program is. And then we asked them if they would like an in-service describing our program, the fellowship, and how it works. Some of the things that, in my involvement with the convention, a lot of people really were afraid to, there was a lot of fear, it seemed, involved as far as Narcotics Anonymous. And I had to kind of fall back on, telling them that it was based on the AA program, and that, that we were clean addicts that were just trying to help each other. And there were some people that didn't want to know, but a lot of people were really interested, and I got some good feedback from a lot of institutions. It's real important to keep the appointments. If you can't make it, let them know ahead of time. It's our responsibility to set a good example, be a power of example, because if we blow it the first time, it may be the only chance that the institution will ever have as far as getting to know about Narcotics Anonymous. That's all I have to say at the moment. I'll turn you over to Juliet.
Hi, my name is Juliet, and I'm an addict. Hi, everybody. Karen and I have divided this. We're each going to do a page. Preparations for an in-service. Make sure you have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 4. Never go alone. The reason that we suggest this, and this is suggestions, okay, these are just suggestions and what we go by from our experience, is because sometimes with the professionals, they'll ask you a question and your mind just absolutely, even though you've known the answer for years, your mind will go blank when they ask. But a person, if you take somebody with you, that person, it'll come up. We had an example that a professional asked, well, why does NA work? And the person that was doing the in-service, his mind went blank totally, and he knows the answer, just at the moment, being a little, scared or whatever where he was, it totally went blank, but the person next to him said identification. One word, but, when you're in that situation, it can get a little scary sometimes. Before appointment, know your institution, know about it, where is it? Where's your other NA meetings? What they need, find out their needs, ask them. What do they have there? What NA can offer at this time. Have all material together. Know how many staff and, if possible, how many clients each counselor has. Make packages accordingly, such as who, why, how, white books. Remember, current meeting list is the most important piece of literature we can offer. Divide information, who will speak about what. Tailor package to each institution, different needs. Dress appropriately. You are a responsible member of NA. What we do is we go in and we want to look like a responsible member of NA. We ask them how many staff are they going to have there, and we take a package and we make up a little package with a rubber band for each member that's sitting there. Let's see. Divide it. Don't, walk in there and then start sitting up, at a table like this and trying to guess, well, I'll speak on this or that. We want to show them we know what we're doing and that we're together. So we usually have a meeting beforehand, before we even walk into that institution, and who's going to speak on what. We suggest men wear suits and ties or sports jackets, clean-shaven and neat, and women dress as non-provocative and neat. And that's important, how our appearance. They are going to look at our appearance. First thing, first impression. So we try and go in and dress accordingly. My first one, I went and I was just going to wear jeans, and I was sent back home to change. And I didn't understand it until I went in there, and I saw the professionals dressed nice and neat and expecting us. Tailor package to each institutional's different needs. Again, with the packages, that's kind of the same. Just have your material and have a lot of meeting schedules with you, extras to leave with the institution, whether they decide to have you or not. At least each counselor will keep them in their office and hand them out. I'm going to let Karen go on to the next page, but be aware of what meetings you have around that institution. What can you offer them? If they say we right now can't do it, then you can at least tell them what meetings that are nearby them, and maybe the professionals will go in and check the meeting out if it's close at hand. Okay.
Some things to keep in mind when you're doing an in-service. You're a responsible member of NA. This is really important, like I said, because many times it is the only shot that we're going to have to get in and carry the message of recovery. And I certainly, it's real important to me to, as a member of the H&I committee, to get to as many addicts, to carry the message that NA works. And it's through, you know, when you have to work through professionals, it's really important. Beware of two-hatter talk. We're here to carry the message of NA. While I might initially make a reference to the other fellowship, just so that they understand better, my recovery is with NA, and I try to carry that message at all times to the people that I'm speaking to. NA certainly works for me, and I really want that to come across whenever we're doing an in-service. Quote the literature as often as possible. We always have literature with us. We take the recovery text in when we go to do an in-service. I found that they have a lot of questions about a lot of outside issues, and it's a good habit to really be aware of what our traditions are, so that, you know, we don't get involved in any controversy. We're not there to get involved in controversy. We're there to carry the message of recovery. We're not there to give a drug log. These people work with addicts all day long. We don't need to talk about how it was, but how it is today and what we're doing with our lives today. At times I might mention, you know, just how unmanageable my life was before I found NA, to make a point of the difference in my life today. It's real important for me to stress how much meaning this fellowship has given my life when I talk to a professional in an institution. I guess for me, being involved in H&I has done the most for me in my recovery. It's given me a lot of gratitude, and I can't even begin to express how much it has helped me personally being involved in all of this. And it's especially important to stay away from controversies and remember that we have no opinion on outside issues. People in institutions will really they'll ask you a lot of questions and they want your opinion about so many different things, and you really have to stick to the traditions on this. They may ask your opinion on, you know, what you think about Alcoholics Anonymous, or what you think about different other kinds of recovery programs, and it's really, we're not there to comment on these other programs. So, you know, as long as you stick with the traditions, you're on safe ground. And I'll turn you back over to Juliet. Thank you.
Hi. A few things I forgot to say. Where it says how many clients each counselor has, take extra literature in for their clients, for the professionals' clients that are in there. If you're there to get a meeting started in that institution, be sure you have a group support or H&I support in that area. We've had a problem with a lot of self-willing people going in, and that's great. You know, you want to get a meeting going, but the problem is, so what's happened is H&I has had to take over these meetings because people went, and everybody wants to chair a meeting, and it sounds great, and yeah, I want to go into that jail, I want to go into that hospital, and I'll chair it. And then 6 months down the line, they're ready to move on, and you don't have anybody go in there to chair it, and they walk away. You know, a lot of people don't sit there and stay until we can get somebody else to come in and chair it. And we call it being dope fiended, is really what it's about. We've had other members of our sister fellowship come in and start an NA meeting. And we've had to walk in there, and we've had to take the meeting when we didn't go in there because we knew we couldn't support that meeting in the first place. But because they had already gotten an NA started in there, what happened was the hospital started screaming, well, what do you mean? The kids are looking forward to next week. You know, what do you mean you can't bring a meeting in? And we've got one guy that's, it's usually 6 months commitment, and he's been in there over a year chairing it. We can't get somebody to go there because it's 45 minutes away. So we have to be really careful. You know, we have SWAT, Service Workers Attack Team, you know. Because what happens is you know, I don't know about other areas, but in Connecticut, most of the people that are sitting at the H&I table are also the people that are chairing those meetings. And it's hard, it's hard for us to keep quality. We want quality in our meetings, and if it has to wait a little longer, okay, it's going to wait, because we want to make sure once we put a meeting in there, it's going to stay, and it's not going to go anywhere or fall. We're trying to get back to going back to the groups and getting the groups to support those meetings before it comes to H&I. The original idea of all of this was get a group to do it, and a group to be responsible, get their speakers in there. And Connecticut is just starting to do that again, is go back. A lot of groups say, yeah, we sponsor the women's jail, but they just say that. They don't do anything on it. They don't know what to do on it. So we have to be real careful about that, and we do. SWAT team runs around and makes sure. So you make a lot of enemies. Points to get across. And in history, area, state, world. How many groups in the area, how did it start, and how is it growing? It says it for itself. It's impressive when you say that to the professional when you're in there. And they're going to ask questions about it. They're going to want to know about it and its growth. And they're going to probably even ask you approximately how many people do you have attending, and what's the length of clean time, your average clean time. They ask questions like that. They want to find out as much as they can. Example, Connecticut started with 6 addicts who started a group 4 years ago. Today we have approximately 50 groups with 2,000 addicts attending regularly, staying clean a day at a time. Says a lot right there to that institution. Fastest growing self-help organization in the world. There were some outside surveys done. There's controversy over whether we should state that or not. No cost to the addict. The hospitals are very well aware that addicts don't usually have that much insurance. So they have a problem. Where do they send their clients? And we're going to give them the answer when we walk in there and tell them it's free, and we'll even come pick them up. Recovery is possible. It works. Hope for clients. Punches hole in the addict's denial when he or she sits in a room with 40 to 50 recovering addicts whose lives are once hopeless. Once again, that's something that if they ask you, your mind might go blank. And it's something, to almost memorize, because that really gets a point across. Why it works? Identification, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another's without parallel. What is NA? NA is nonprofit, et cetera, et cetera. We quote a lot out of our literature. We really use it, and we really try and stay away from our own personal opinions on it. Free aftercare for clients, sponsorship group support. I found with dealing with the institutions, with the sponsorship and the group support, professionals are aware of it. So I stress that. I go up and I chair the women's Niantic meeting, and the women up there ask us to, be pen pals with them, sponsor them. And we go and meet them the day they get out and take them to a meeting if we can. We get somebody else to go up and meet the women. Where NA meetings are located in similar institutions with names and numbers of contacts in those institutions, references. Our region asked us to get letters of references from our hospitals and institutions, and we did. We went in there because we have a working communication with them. They were more than willing. For example, we went up to the women's meeting, the women's Niantic meeting, the prison, and we went up because we go up about every 2 months and have a meeting with her and talk about what problems she has. Does she have any problems? Any questions? We get as interested in what she wants to know, as she gets interested in what we're doing. And we let her know that. I call her on a monthly basis, just to keep that lines of communication going. So when we went in there last month and asked her, would she give us a letter of recommendation just to whom it's concerned, she said, sure, no problem. And what we're doing is there's other areas that are having a problem getting into the institutions. So now we're sending those letters on to the region, and the other areas can take those letters and take them into the institutions. But those letters came as a direct result of having a lot of good communication with our institutions. Where our meetings are held, update meeting list with hotline number. Make sure, don't just say, well, the hotline changed, and give them a call. I'll write her a letter, if the hotline number changes. And I keep her up to date. Whenever I run into her, I'll tell her how many more meetings and where they are. Even if a new meeting list didn't come out, I'll make up a new, little list for her on a piece of paper. So she can give it to the girls, or if they're in the hospital can give it. It does not have to wait another 3 months for a new list to come out. Those clients in the hospital are going to be gone. How our meetings are run, explain. We go into a bit of detail when we explain that one, We go as far as to invite the professionals to come in and sit in a meeting. And we make them feel welcome. We reach our hands out, and because they need to see it. What is the H&I subcommittee? Explain. We explain our structure, especially what happened with the meeting I was discussing earlier of the self-will. He just didn't want to hear it. He wanted that meeting in there. His kids were excited about that meeting being there. And we had to slow him down and say, wait a second, and we explain we're trying to be responsible, productive members of society, and we have guidelines to go by. So he has a full understanding of it. And that's helped a lot. Now that he has, it calmed him down a bit. And he wasn't so upset at us anymore. He was fuming about the whole thing. Once he understood that we had guidelines that we went by and we adhered to, and that we didn't make exceptions to, we were able to negotiate a little better with him. And luckily the meeting's still going today, but it's been hard on the H&I committee to keep that one going. We care and love addicts. Carrying the message to the newcomer is vital to our recovery. We stress that. We stress the importance that this is helping us too. Well, it'll probably come to me. I forgot what I was going to say. But, okay. I'm going to turn it back over to Karen.
Phone contact. Maintain a line of communication with the institution. Like Julie said, this is really important. I try to maintain contact at least once a month. Also, with the cheer people that are cheering meetings in the institution, I'm in contact with them every couple of weeks, so that there's continuity there, that we always know what's going on in the institution. We had a situation in one of the rehabs not too long ago where the director really wanted, the meeting had changed along the way, and the director wanted to go back to a beginner step meeting, and we were able to do that. But unless we had maintained contact, we wouldn't have known that he was dissatisfied with the way the meeting was going. And as it turned out, it's a strong meeting again, and it's working out really well. Sometimes we can't give them a weekly meeting. The reasons for this are logistics, lack of support in that area, remembering that once we start a meeting, consistency is the most important thing. Logistics, sometimes we can't always get people in the institutions. Some institutions have a lot of strict rules about who comes in, and it's not always possible to get all the people, in there to maintain a good meeting. There are certain programs that are really strict. A lot of the state programs in Connecticut do not really want outside people coming into their institution, and we try to work around that as best as we can, but it's not always possible. We do try to assure them that the people coming in have been approved by the H&I committee, and that they will be a good power of example, and that nothing will really go wrong. I had a question not too long ago about how do you really know if somebody's clean, and I had what are you supposed to say to that? Well, I just said, we kind of go on trust like they do in AA, and hope for the best. It's a question that you might get. What I had said was basically, we know who's working the program just by watching them live. So, lack of support in that area. There's many areas. We just did an in-service recently, and this institution really wants a meeting. People in the institution were able to come to our convention, and they're really hot for NA. But as of right now, we don't really have the support to start a meeting there. So, we have to work on that, and hopefully we'll be able to bring a meeting into that institution. It's really needed. As far as consistency, it is really important. My personal feeling is that, you know, as far as a lot of people's self-willing meetings and stuff, even if we save one addict, you know, to me it's worth it. For however long the meeting lasts, you know, but we have to try to really maintain a meeting, you know, so that they know that NA works. If a weekly meeting is not possible, what we can offer them is an introductory meeting. Essentially, this is an introduction to NA for the residents, letting them know that when they leave, they have a place to go for help. This is really important so that at least they get some exposure to our program. It's a chance to, at least if there's 4 of us there, that's 4 more clean addicts that they might know if they walk into a meeting, that they can ask for help. Also, it's a way to carry the message to them that it does work. It's a way to get them some schedules so that if they choose to, when they get out, they can come to the fellowship. Another meeting would be to offer a meeting on a monthly basis. We do have a meeting that Connecticut's responsible for up in New Hampshire once a month. And we find that that's working out real good. There's a lot of Connecticut people that end up in New Hampshire at this treatment center. And it's really helped an awful lot of people having Connecticut up there once a month for when they get out and come home. Transportation. Find out if transportation is available for residents to attend outside meetings. If a vehicle is not available, maybe we pick up residents. We find this has been working out really well in Connecticut. We have a number of meetings that they bus residents and patients in from hospitals. My home group in particular, there's a couple of rehabs that have been sending a lot of people in to hear about NA and to participate in the meeting, and it's really worked out really well. This other institution that I was just speaking about before, they've been sending people over to the Orange, Connecticut meeting because they're really starting to believe in our program, you know, and they want their clients to get the best possible recovery. Who is responsible if someone runs away? We don't take responsibility for that. And we have to let the institution know that NA or the people that are involved with the residents can't take any personal responsibility. Who is responsible if a resident gets injured en route? For that, you have to check the insurance laws. I don't know too much about that. Maybe Julie knows more about it. Make sure you keep their list of NA meetings up to date. You know, we usually have a good supply of schedules, and when I do make phone contact with the professionals in the institution, I always let them know, too, about any new meetings. Connecticut meetings are really growing. There's new meetings coming up all the time, so it's important to keep them informed of this. These guidelines are merely suggestions. As with every other part of our ongoing program of recovery, more will be revealed. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Peter. I'm an addict. I think it's real important to remember when you're doing an in-service that it's important for me to remember that for me the most powerful thing, the only thing that worked for me ever was another clean addict. And when I started going and doing in-services, I'm going to go sit down and talk to psychiatrists, to the warden, and getting into that feeling that I had to become something other than what I was. And my friend Danny got me out of that real quick and reminded me that I was just there to talk about my personal experience. And it seems like that's what really works. That people seem to really, the people on the staffs, at least 1 or 2 in every place we've been, seem to really relate when you sit and you talk about how your life has been transformed by this fellowship. And so it becomes very simple because all I have to do is talk about my how it is today for me, and a little bit about how it was, not a lot. We've had a lot of success in going in with several different people, and we're particularly successful in going in with a person. One fellow is an iron worker, another fellow dressed in a Brooks Brothers suit, another person that wears their hair long still, and the staff sees that NA just doesn't appeal to one type of person, that it works through the whole range. And we sit before them and show them the scope, the range of addiction. And we've had some success with that. Some people want to talk to the fellow in the Brooks Brothers suit more, okay? And it's good that he's there. And then in other places, they want to talk to the fellow who has been in prison. So that's been very successful for us. Controversy, like I mentioned, is a real problem. Like Karen said, we had someone ask us, how do we know if the people are clean? You know, so how do you answer a question like that? You know, you want to answer it, you want to tell her, but try to back away from that. Just say it's an honest program. We had someone ask us a few weeks ago, well, how do we feel about ex-addicts? How about that one, huh? So, we've had, I've had people ask me, talk about a particular patient, and then ask what we thought the chances are for this person's success. You know, just can't answer a question like that. You want to, you know, being the kind of person I am, I want to answer all the questions. One of the things that we're trying to develop in Connecticut is a committee, which is also on this blackboard, an in-service committee, because we've just been sort of shooting from the hip, just taking any members who are available from the H&I committee to do an in-service. And now we're trying to formalize it a little more. And there's a problem with that because, you know, you got to go and see the staff during daylight hours, and so it's hard finding people that are free. So we're trying to formalize it that way and get a group of people who get more and more experience doing this. Before we finish up about in-service, we're going to discuss money just a little bit, and Juliet's going to discuss the speaker list a little bit. I'd like Kermit to come up here talk about in-service, because Kermit was involved in the developing of these guidelines, and he has a few things to add to it. Thank you.
Quickie. My name's Kermit, and I'm a drug addict from Virginia. There was a couple of points, you know, when we were sitting down writing this, and the gentleman, I don't know if Julie expressed that earlier, the gentleman who helped work on this and who asked me to sit down and help him write, Danny from Connecticut had a heart attack a couple of weeks ago, and he's doing all right. And Danny, if you're listening to this tape, I love you very much, and I hope you can find the answer. But there's a few things that we went over, and you know, we were talking it out, and we didn't get it put on paper, and I wanted to go over some of those. I just wanted to reiterate on being dressed nicely, is that, you know, we're probably the only copy of the basic text, or the only copy of Narcotics Anonymous a lot of these people will see, you know, and we have to present ourselves as such and recognize that we're not presenting, you know, our little town or our little area or whatever. We're presenting Narcotics Anonymous for the entire world, you know, because these people are going to carry that impression, you know, to other people. I'm really, really, really big on doing in-services and carrying the message to professionals. I work in treatment and daily meet, you know, doctors, psychiatrists, and people who have no idea what the hell they're doing, you know. They look at addicts and they try and, you know, behavioristic and this and that, and it's obviously a schizophrenia and compulsive repulsive or whatever, you know, and they're stuck, you know. And they're stuck, you know, and the truth is that they think they're really doing the best they can, you know, and they think they're doing a great job, and their people just go out and relapse and relapse and relapse because they try to focus them on your problem is something external, you know, it was your mother, or it was, you know, you wore pink dresses when you were a kid or whatever. And, you know, the focus is that your problem is that you have a disease, you know. It's pretty simple. If you look at the word drug addict to wonder what the problem is, it might be drugs. So